Hey guys! Welcome to part 3 of my ActionScript 3 platformer tutorial. So, if we're going to go ahead and run this is what we have from last time. We have our little ball, we can move him around, we can jump. There's a block here, we can't jump underneath the block, but we can stand on top of the block. So what I want to do in this video is start actually having a system where we can make multiple blocks and kind of start building levels. So this instance of one block that we have up here, I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it into an array. I'm going to call it blocks, plural. And we'll just make this an empty array for now. And then we're going to make another array. I'm going to call this one map. And this is going to be kind of like the floor plan for our level. So put the open and close brackets up there and down here, and then this is actually going to be a 2D array. Since our blocks are 50 by 50 and the screen is 800 by 450, we can have 16 blocks across the horizontal and then 9 down along the vertical. So because of that, I'm going to make an array that fills in each of those possible spots where we could have something, and I'm going to put just a bunch of zeros. I think that's 16. Yeah, that's 16. So that's going to be like the top row of our screen. And then I'm going to take this row, and I'm going to just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now this is our whole map. We don't need a comma on the last one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just change this right here to a 1 and change this right here to a 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that zeros are empty spots in the map and 1s are blocks. This is kind of like a tile-based approach rather than just placing blocks. So we have our map up here. Now in the main, after we establish our character and everything, we don't need this anymore because we don't have a block. We're going to make a for loop. We'll say for var I int equals 0. I is less than map.length. And that's going to give us the number of rows that we have, which is 9. And then I plus plus. And then inside this for loop, we're going to write another for loop. I'm going to call the value j this time. J is less than map 0 dot length. J plus plus. So this is going to be 16 times this is going to run. And we're going to call an if in here. We're going to say if map I j, like that, 2 sets of brackets. If that is equal to 1, we're going to say var block equals new block. And we'll say block.x equals j times 50, or yeah, j times 50, and then we're going to go plus 25 so that we can center it. And then block.y equals I.50 plus 25. And then blocks.push block add child block. So now, when I run this, wait, gotta get rid of that. Alright. Now we have 2 different blocks, and they both showed up. As you saw down there, I got rid of the collision detection on the block But now I'm going to bring that back. We're going to do another for loop in the checkStuff function. And we're going to say for var I int equals 0. And we're going to go through blocks.length. In here we're going to say blocks I dot, and then we look back at the block dot check obj char, and then I for its place in the array, since we need those two arguments in there. So now we run this, and now we've got a working thing. So now we can go ahead and add some more stuff into our little map here. I'm just putting together a nice little level. As you can see, it all shows up. Works just right. Looks like this level gets you trapped. But now, as you can see, we can go ahead and make levels and everything, and it works. Alright, the thing I want to add right now is a camera that moves while the player is playing. So the way I'm going to do this is up at the top here, I'm going to make a movie clip. I'm going to call it cam. I'll say movie clip. And just make it a new movie clip. And now, down here in our constructor, I'm going to put cam dot in front of all of our add childs. Cam dot add child block, cam dot add child. Those are our only add childs right now. So there we go. All we have to do now is at the very bottom of our constructor say add child cam. And now it doesn't really look any different, but actually everything that we have is all inside one big movie clip. So what we can do is down at the bottom of our checkStuff method, we can say cam.x minus minus, and now as we're playing, the whole thing is slowly moving to the right. So we don't want it to just do that. What we want it to do is we want it to mirror the movements of the player. So in our if A down and if D down if statements, we want to change it so that not only does the character's x subtract 5, cam.x plus equals 5. This way the player is always going to be in the center of the screen. Or, well, I don't really place the character in the center of the screen where the code right now, but it's going to always stay where the player is when we start the code. So, player's right there. Now we start doing this, except when we hit walls, it doesn't quite work. So, in order to fix that, what we have to do really is this simplistic approach isn't actually going to work. What we do instead of this is up at the top here, we're going to make two more variables. Well, actually, we can make these variable local in checkStuff. We'll say var prev x var prev y. And then we're going to set these to the characters X and the characters Y. So now all of this stuff is going to happen to it. And then what we want to do is down at the bottom here say cam.x minus equals char.x minus prevx. So what that does is it takes the difference between where the player is now and where the player was before we added all this stuff, and we're going to subtract that from the camera's x. So if it's positive, it's just going to be regular subtraction, but if it's negative, it's really going to be addition. That way it's always mirroring the movement of the player, so that the player always stays in the same place. And since we're doing this with the y as well, hopefully the player is going to always be right where he started. So yeah, as you can see, the whole rest of the world moves and the player stays in the same place. What we want to do probably is focus it so that the player doesn't start all the way over there. We want to have the player start in the middle of the screen. So since our screen is 800 by 450, we'll go 400 by 225. And now, the player's right in the middle of the screen. The rest of the world moves around him. So, next thing I want to talk about is coins. When we're making a game, there's a lot of different things we can add. And being a platformer, just like the old classic Mario games, we're going to add coins. So, we're just going to make another class called coin, and it'll extend movie clip. We don't need any of this other stuff. So in here I'll do the graphics. This.graphics.beginFill. I don't know what color we can make this. We'll make it orange. Now what we're going to do this time is we're going to do draw ellipse. And this is a bit different than drawing a circle because you have to actually start in the top left instead of in the center. So as you see, I wrote x minus 10, y minus 20, so that the center is actually halfway across the width and halfway across the height of this ellipse. Because you see the width is 20 and the height is 40. So you subtract 10 and 20 from each so that it actually stays where you want it to be. Alright, so now we've got a nice little drawer. Let's make a coin. And what we can do actually is go into our map and change one of these zeros to a 2. And then down here, underneath that thing for creating a block, make another statement that handles 2's instead of 1's. And this is where we're going to actually make a coin. And this is going to be just like the block code in terms of the numbers that we use. cam.addChild coin. So now we have a nice orange little coin there. And what we want to do, of course, is make it so that when you get close to that coin, it goes away. So let's say public function check obj, just like the one on ground. Only this time we're going to return a boolean. So first thing we want to do, we say if math.abs objx.x minus x is less than width, and math.abs obj.y minus y is less than height. That basically just means if the distance between the object and this is within the big square for this object, then in that we want to say return true, and then outside of that say return false. So basically what this is going to do is if you're hitting, it's going to return true. Otherwise it'll go out and it'll return false. Because as soon as you return, you're done with the function, so any code that would have been down here doesn't even get executed if you return here. So we don't need to put this in an else. Alright, so now we want to say down here if check obj, now if coin.check obj char. Since that's returning a boolean, we can just put that right into an if statement and use it there, and this will be the code that executes if you're hitting the coin. I'm going to say cam.remove child coin. So next thing we want to do is, instead of just having one coin like we do here, we'll make an array of coins like we have an array of blocks. So we'll just put coins, push coin. Now this isn't actually a variable anymore, so we want to make it here. Alright. So now we need to put this in a for loop as well. Just change it to variable name, because I just don't like having it the same, because it throws warnings. And now we're going to actually remove it from the array, and in order to do this, a good way to go about doing it is go through the array backwards, so that while you're doing that it doesn't mess up the indices of the coins that are still in the array. So we'll start s equal to coins.length minus 1 to begin with, and then if s is greater than or equal to 0, and then s minus minus. And if this is the case, say coins.splice. That's the name of the method to function to get rid of a certain thing in an array, and in here you give the index, which is s, and then how many terms you want to get rid of, and that's only 1. So now coins s coins s and the coins work just fine. I can add coins all over the place. There we go. We can run around and collect all those coins. So now we actually have something to do in our game. So that's just a basic intro to adding different elements to your game. In the future tutorials, I'm going to be adding a whole bunch of different elements, so stay tuned for that. Alright, see you guys later.